My mic's not straight. There we go. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm not editing that out. Kalamazi here, and today's video is going to be looking at, or talking about what changes I hope are coming to Warlock tuning-wise over the next week or so heading into Heroic Raid. Blizz has announced that before the Heroic Raid opens, there's more tuning coming, and I want to talk about all three specs today: single target, AoE, some bugs, looking at what I think should be changed, what could be changed, and what lock actually needs buff-wise, nerf-wise, let's be honest, and all that going from there. Also, if you're wondering what this is, watch the outro of the video. It's not available yet, but I think it's super sick, and when it is, hopefully in the next couple weeks, there's more to come, but I'll let y'all know. The Heroic Raid opens on the 17th. Heroic opens here, M0s scale up the champion gear dropping, and the 24th is when Mythic Plus opens up, Season fully drops, Mythics open for the first two raids, and you have like everything you can farm pretty much, barring Sunwell, which comes out here basically. So now Blizzard announced tuning, I believe, is what's going to be happening for Heroic Week, which is going to be coming in here. I would assume we probably hear about it somewhere in this vicinity, 12, probably 13 or 16, like, hey, these are happening on a reset in a day or in a few days if it's like before the weekend. Heads up, this is happening for Heroic, right? And they'll tune for here, being Heroic Week, and then I'd assume somewhere in here, like Friday or Monday, you probably hear maybe some additional tuning coming in from Mythic, which launches here for the first two raids. Now, could be wrong there, but we do know that tuning is looming. With that being said, I think Warlock is under the magnifying glass or whatever, probably the most of any class currently, for a lot of reasons. So I want to talk about what's probably overtuned, undertuned, what needs buffs, nerfs, all that kind of stuff, and go from there. So I want to start with Affliction initially. We'll look at all three specs here, but I want to start with Aff, because Aff is the spec that received the most changes coming into Midnight. We are back to Unstable Affliction Spender, with So and C being our spenders and AoE, all that stuff. Aff feels really good to play. It's very fun to get an M+, it's fun in single target, it's fun wherever you play it. However, some recent bug fixes and some older nerfs that came in definitely hit Affliction a bit too hard, and it's in a weird state of, it needs buffs, but we're not sure how much it's going to get. So initially I want to hit on single target here, and it carries over a bit into the M+ build, right? So I have some sims here. This is my own character with like current consumables. It's not, it doesn't need to be fully optimized, it's fine. But so this is the current breakdown of what Affliction looks like roughly in single target for me playing the ST build right now. UA is 16.3, Shadowbolt 11.3, Reaping 876, so on and so forth, right? A breakdown of various things here. Here's your Apex talent, right? Part of it, here's the other part. Unstable Affliction needs buffs. So it is our main spender when it comes to single target. It should even be in two target, but it's not, because Seed is better in two target, I believe, currently, from what I've seen and heard, unless changes again there. UA does not hit hard enough. Seed should be worth casting in 3 stack targets with So, because you have So giving you 3 seeds. It should not be worth casting in 2. UA to Seed's buffs. Now, this is playing a full UA damage amp build too, with Fatal Echoes, we have Cascading, Xavius, all the shard instability. All the UA buffs over here, except for like Potent Soul Shards, which is being played somewhere else. This is being played over it. But regardless, baseline UA needs buffs. So 16.3% is not enough to be your main spender. I think Rapture was like 24, 25 roughly. And obviously damage breakdowns vary a bunch, so it's not like the end all be all saying it has to be 24 or higher, right? But being our really, I mean, it's our only spender in a single target. I think this needs to be somewhere around like 21, 22%, give or take. I mean, like maybe even a bit higher, but the baseline amount that UA does is just not enough. When I've been questing through the world doing leveling or side quests and stuff, I can put 4 or 5 stacks of UA on a mob and it doesn't even do anything. It just tickles. It still dies at a crazy slow rate. UA should hit hard when you put multiple stacks up. That's your spender in single target. I know it's a dot-based class, but it should ramp into more power. It does not feel that way currently. UA probably could use about a 25% buff, I would say roughly, which would put it somewhere around, actually that'd be right around 20.5%. 25 to 30% buff probably would be more than fine for UA, because you have to take into account as well that this right here is the single target sim. AoE is not working right now. When you shift gears and look to hop into a Mythic Plus build, you pull out of all these talents here. all the UA modifiers and you're hopping into these talents here, you have like Sow and Patient Zero and Seeds of Destruction and Nocturnal Yield, which feel great, but you have no cascading, no echoes, no Xavius Gambit, no shard instability, less dot modifiers, no grasp. Your damage in M+ playing this build in single target is very, very bad. It's probably some of the lowest in the game, and that is what I was afraid of. Going way back to alpha, first build, when I saw this version of Ath, I was super pumped for it, but I said to myself, I hope that we're not in the similar spots where we were in Dragonflight, where we had like Seed, a bunch of Seed damage amps, Doom Blossom, which you had to play in M+, but you did negative damage in single target, because you have to choose AoE or single target, and you can't get both. There could even be a world where we just pull out of this and hop over here at some point. Like, forget this thing being RNG, is hop over here and some modifiers. I mean, I doubt that's the case, but UA needs buffs, and it's not just buffing things like Xavius Gambit, Fatal Echoes. It needs a core buff of like probably 25 to 30%. You can come in and straight up buff Xavius Gambit and buff... probably can buff echoes too, buff some modifiers. You can buff what grasp does when it comes to like single target damage to flare up more dots as well. UA and things that surround UA need buffs. I would say UA 25% probably, and then probably this like 15%. You can buff this to probably 15%, maybe 10-15%, but this is like very, very low. Baseline 10 with 2 points in, probably make it 20% give or take, but it needs baseline buffs. And I think it would feel good if you had more reward from pathing into the single target part of the tree if you want those effects. But baseline UA, the UA I'm casting in M+ with no modifiers over here playing this build needs buffs. Our damage is atrocious when it comes to single target in M+. And I don't think we should be number one playing no ST talents here in M+, but like, there's got to be some give and take. And even when you're in the full ST build, our damage in single target is not very good. It is below Demonology by, I mean, I have Demos Sim here. It's I don't Demo's high, but for example, I'm 20k plus below Demonology. Even Destra, I'm below by 6 or 4k DPS, and Destra's playing. It's just better, right? So it needs some buffs. In addition to that, putting UA aside. So when it comes to the M+ build of Affliction, there's a couple bugs that existed up until I think a few days ago. Were reported a lot over the course of alpha and beta. They revolved around Sow the Seeds and Patient Zero. So the Seeds fires basically 3 seeds, right? It makes your seed fire 3, and the 2 additional seeds, whatever, not main target seeds, left and right ones essentially, do damage at 50% effectiveness, but they weren't doing 50% effectiveness. From what I've read and things, there's been so many bugs with this until a few days ago, when it was fixed. They were doing 100% damage every target it hit, except for their host, which was the main target of Seed. And then Patient Zero also applied. So instead of doing like 75% damage, they were doing 150, whatever. With this bug fix, Seed's damage has gone down considerably in M+. Seed is your main spender. I mean, it's your only spender at AoE, right? You spam Seed like crazy. It feels like Legion M+, and it's really fun to play with. But with these bug fixes coming in, we probably need to buff Seed by about 20%, give or take. It was around 25%, I believe, roughly, in early sims I had seen for AoE with like a couple weeks ago. It's around like 19% now. It probably needs about a 25% buff, similar to UA, with this bug fixes coming into this. I think you could likely buff Dark Harvest as well by a little bit. I actually asked Mr. Baby Brain last night about this. He agrees with like Seed, UA. He said Dark Harvest as well, which was nerfed by about, I think it was 30% about a month ago, give or take. The button does still feel really good and rewarding to hit for Soul Harvester. For Hellcaller, feels like it could use some more damage, and universally could use some more damage, I think. As far as like Aph's playstyle, I do think it feels really good. It's very rewarding. I wouldn't mind Grasp being buffed a bit. Probably you could just change the way Grasp functions, but it's likely more of a 12.1 thing. But we need buffs to UA. We need buffs to Seed or Seed with Sow. And I think Dark Harvest use a buff too. It's around like 10% of our overall in AoE. This is single target, obviously. It could be a little higher. But Aph feels good, and like I am a decent Aph, a pretty big Aph fan. I want to play at this tier, but regardless, it is the worst of all 3 specs. I think it needs the most buffs heading into next week. There were some nerfs that came in a few weeks ago to Soul Harvester, which the week before they had buffed Demonology, or they had buffed Soul Harvester only looking at Demonology. They had gone through and buffed a lot of things for Demo, like this for Demo. I know we're playing Aff here, but like this for Demo, this for Demo. A lot of things are changed just for Demo's tree. And a week later, they came in and they hit Soul Harvester universally across both Demonology and Affliction. And while AF was a little high then, it's taken more nerfs and bug fixes since then, and it's dropped down considerably. And I think it's been over nerfed. It needs a bump up. So that's what I do. Dark Harvest buff, UA buff, Seed Sow buff. I probably buff Grasp modifier. You can buff these as well, honestly, a bit here too. But glass half full, it feels really good to play. So there's that. Okay, shifting gears here and getting into destruction. Not really a whole lot to talk about here. Destro is Destro, man. Now, when it comes to its breakdown, like in single target and things, I'd prefer to have more Chaos Bolt damage. It's 20% versus 13, 10, 10.6, 10, whatever. Diabolic Oculi. There's a bug with that now. We'll get to that in a minute here. I would like to see a Chaos Bolt buff, and I think it can be done. Like a 15% buff, give or take. It's not incredibly high when it comes to like overall single target sims. It doesn't need to be like the highest in the game, obviously, but even a bit of a restructuring between like Incinerate and Chaos Bolt. There are some builds of Hellcaller that don't even play in M+, don't even play Improved Chaos Bolt. No one's playing Chaos Incarnate. It's too bad. This needs to go back to being 100% what it used to be. 70 is just not even worth it. It's terrible. Way undertuned, unfortunately. And like Improved Chaos Bolt isn't even being played in certain builds in M+ at this point. Chaos Bolt itself needs a buff. That could be in conjunction with an Incinerate nerf to like compensate, not over buff the spec a bit. You can just buff Bolt in general, I think it'd be fine, right? But in its current form, it does feel a bit underwhelming. I'd say playstyle-wise, not really getting many changes overall. But it's still Destro, right? You've played Destro for a long time. If you played it over the last 10 years, it's still destruction. I do think baseline Chaos Bolt use a buff. I am a little curious if there's some tuning that could be done to like Embers of Nihilum, Shadowburn, and Chaos Bolt with Embers costing... With Embers proccing off of... Excuse me. Shadowburn, Chaos Bolt, or Rain of Fire with the rank 4 capstone. Whenever you cast one at 50%, 50%, and 60% effectiveness from Rain of Fire. I am curious if Blizz is okay with that being a thing, with Shadowburn costing 1 shard and being instant cast, which always procs this, comparatively to Chaos Bolt being 2 shards cast time, also proccing this. It's the same value for both, but one costs 1 shard as instant cast and gains value from Conflagration of Chaos, and one's just up here with 2 shards and a cast time. Little interested to see where that goes. I wouldn't mind just straight up seeing a buff to, well, not a buff, like a change made to Crashing Chaos, the choice note here. I can't pull it up because it's raid bots. The one that buffs Rain of Fire and Chaos Bolt by X amount, I forgot what it even is. Rain of Chaos is a little better. I think a lot of that's sort of fueled by Shadowburn being a thing that you play here, random procs, and definitely in that end of the fight execute phase where you're just casting a lot of Shadowburns, you're just spamming it. You can even see in the report here, a bit of, yeah, here's our execute damage with Infernal. It obviously spikes a bit, but it's more consistent of like a hump, like a hill here, because you're just spamming Shadowburn over and over and over, right? It gets you at Embers proc, so a proc whenever you cast it. It's strong, it's effective. I am curious if Blizzard would entertain the idea of adding Shadowburn to Crashing Chaos. It's always been Chaos Bolt and Rain of Fire, and we've been in this weird situation for a long time where if you were playing Crashing Chaos and you were an execute and you wanted to spam Shadowburn and things, it's 1 shard and it lights up, you can hit it, execute. You really couldn't if you were casting your Infernal, because you had 8 stacks of Crashing Chaos you couldn't dump. You had to cast Chaos Bolts when you wanted to cast Shadowburn. It's a weird, like, non-bow that was never really addressed. Rain of Chaos is simming higher now. I would assume if they ended up shifting things back to being more, or giving Crashing Chaos a Shadowburn clause, so Shadowburn, Chaos Bolt, and Rain of Fire, you'd see quite possibly a shift back to Crashing Chaos over Rain of Chaos, but either way, we'll see where that goes. We can see here in the last like minute or so of cast, it's just Shadowburn. Shadowburn, Conflagration, Shadowburn, Incinerate, Shadowburn, a million Shadowburns being cast here. Because you're getting those instant procs of Embers of Nihilum, your Apex talent, right? You can see what it does, once again, to our damage profile, right? You're reaching almost like in maybe initial burst, like 100k with lusts and things on pull. You're sitting at a constant 80k roughly here, pretty much for the remainder of the fight, because you're spamming that Shadowburn over and over and over. So there's that. I low-key sort of like that playstyle. I think it's cool. I like not being able to hit Shadowburn from 100% to 0. I do think they could also maybe extend the duration of the buff that Conflagration of Chaos gives from like 20 to 30. Currently, it affects Conflict Rate and Shadow Burn. So you have 2 charges of Conflict Rate. You're not playing this, but Conflict Rate you can cast basically on cooldown, and you always get value out of this. When you're playing Fiendish Cruelty and Shadow Burn procs above 20%, it's random if you get another proc within that 20-second window, because the first that cast a Shadow Burn will apply Conflagration of Chaos, and then after that, you gotta pray you get a proc of Fiendish Cruelty, to cast a second Shadow Burn while it's still active. If you don't, and this buff falls, it's a regular Shadow Burn. I wouldn't mind this buff being half a minute. I think it's fine. Make it extend it from 20 seconds to 30 for both Conflict Rate and Shadow Burn. Conflict Rate gains no value there at all. Shadow Burn would gain a more higher, how do I phrase this? You cast Shadow Burns above 20% from Fiendish Cruelty procs that are affected by Conflagration of Chaos more often, but I think it's okay. It does help smooth things out, and that kind of RNG feels sort of weird when it comes to like playing a talent around that and all that. So we'll see where that goes. So when it comes to Destro stuff and single target, I think you buff this back to 100%. Buff Chaos Bolt baseline. Maybe extend the actual buff duration of Conflagration of Chaos. And if you want to like buff Bolt a bit, you can even like nerf Incinerate a tiny bit to maybe, set things straight, or a little, maybe like offset the actual buff or nerf. Now, I do briefly want to show a couple bugs for Destruction. I have heard that there's that bug going around with Diabolic Oculi and casting Chaos Bolts. I think it's Chaos Bolt not consuming the Oculi. I can't get it to proc. It's working for me. It might have been fixed today. I don't know, but it might be floating around in various forms. I'm not really sure. Whenever I cast Rain of Fire, it consumes the eyeballs. Whenever I cast Chaos Bolt, it consumes the eyeballs. It's working for me. The bug that has been around for a long time, since I think early alpha, there's 2 bugs, a couple of these, revolves around like Cataclysm into a Channel Demon Fire, or basically Kata into X. So like we're going to cast like Cataclysm here, right? And usually the sequence you follow with like CDF, which we're not playing for Destro right now for a million reasons, is like you go Cataclysm into Channel Demon Fire, which extends the duration of all the withers or immolates that were applied, all that, and goes from there, right? You can't actually do that right now. So Cataclysm, CDF. So you should see a bar channeling right now for CDF. I was queuing the Channel Demon Fire after the Cataclysm, but when I queued it, it just interrupted the actual channel or the spell, and you didn't get any value out of the CDF. You can see the durations ticking down, basically. There's no extension there, and they're going to fall before my conflict rate comes back around. The way to get around this currently is to just cast Cataclysm, like a conflict rate afterwards, or wait a second, and then cast CDF again. It's just some weird like queuing bug with Kata, from what I can tell. It's been around for a long time. If I go like Kata, conflict rate, and CDF, there you go. And they all extend, it's fine, no big deal. So there's that. There's also an issue that's been around for a couple expansions now, where if you watch the duration of my immolates here, right? Watch them, and then watch Channel Demon Fire. I'm going to hold the Channel Demon Fire until we get like low on some of these. It might not happen, but it might. It's like, see how it's glowing here? It's able to be pressed. Okay, so it didn't bug out there. But what happens is, at times, when they get really low, like your immolates or whatever, you can't always cast Channel Demon Fire. And the bug is that you can't always cast Channel Demon Fire if the remaining duration on the immolates or withers is the extended portion that came from like the previous Channel Demon Fire. So to show that more clearly here, I'll apply them here, cast conflict rate, whatever. See how they're at 19, 18 here? Watch their duration increase. 16, now back up to, 20, whatever. That 6 or so second extension, if they fall within that range, so they have like 6 or less seconds remaining on their actual duration, sometimes CDF just isn't castable anymore. It doesn't recognize, hey, there's remaining duration here, but it's from the extension, it doesn't recognize it. It happens sometimes, not all the time, but it's weird. I don't know. I just sort of roll with it at this point, honestly. But those 2 bugs are annoying, and the Kata and the CDF bug is really annoying, and def needs to be looked at if possible, ASAP, because, well, it's a little annoying having to cast a conflict rate between my CDF, and most players don't even realize it's happening. Okay, the last thing I want to hit on here is Demonology. So both Soul Harvester and Diabolus Demonology are good. Soul Harvester is better everywhere right now currently. This stems from there being a bit of Demonology buffs about a month or so ago, maybe a bit more, coming out of like going into like later beta and stuff, and very large buffs to Soul Harvester itself. They buff, I think they buffed Demonic Soul baseline by a certain amount. They buffed Soul Swipe by a lot. They buffed Satiels from 5% to 35% imp damage increase. I think they buffed this from, I think it was 4% before. I think they nerfed it back at 2. A couple other things too. I think Reaping was buffed as well. There were a lot of buffs to specifically Demonology Soul Harvester. Affliction's tree for Soul Harvester was not touched. It was just Demonology. They came in and buffed a lot of modifiers here. And that, in conjunction with other things too, pushed Demonology very high. I think it's the highest summoning spec in game still by a bit. It's obviously overtuned. And listen, let's be honest here. I have not really seen the general consensus on a spec for like among a class of players, whatever, like Warlocks ever be, hey, we expect nerfs to come. It is what it is. Usually it's like, oh, well, you don't talk about it much. Isn't it? Guys, it's so blatantly obvious Demonology is going to get hit. It got hit a decent bit before, and it's still like 20% ahead of the next highest swimming class in the game. It's going to get hit. So, like, the point of this video, Blizz already knows this, all right? But I think is to try, I want to talk about what I think is, like, obviously what should happen for Demonology tuning-wise. A couple of things in addition to this might happen, but there's that. Okay, so for demo stuff, if they come in and they want to hit Soul Harvester Demonology only, which I think they're probably going to hit Demonology as a whole a bit, right? I think the big thing is if you want to knock down Soul Harvester a bit more to get it in line with Diabolus, then knock down Demonology, you know, together, right? I think you come in and you just try to hit this tree a bit. The buff from 5 to 35 on this is wild. Like, wild imp, I mean, literally wild. Wild imp damage. Wild imps are our #1 source of damage, like, regardless. And a buff from 5 to 35 is crazy. It was a lot of damage. I mean, that's a pretty big buff to a talent for that is your #1 source of damage in your tree here. So if you want to knock down Soul Harvester, I do think you come in and you hit the wild imp damage in Satiel's Volition, probably from like 35 to like 20. See where it goes. I haven't really run the math on it a whole lot, but somewhere around there, a bit of a nerf there. Maybe you hit like Wicked Reaping from like 30 to 20 possibly. A couple other modifiers here and there. Whatever you think is maybe a little excessive, but not too much to knock it down in that Diabolist range as well. You can see our breakdown here being like Wild Imp, Demonic Soul, and Tauren Jailer, so on and so forth. Our Demonic Soul is also excessively random. So there are times, I have logs, I don't know where they are, I'll find them at some point, but there are times where this will be active for a minute to minute and a half, just based on pure procs RNG over a 2-minute pull. And there are times it doesn't proc one time over that 2-minute pull. Now it says it has an increasing chance to unleash the Demonic Soul, but the RNG of this and the BLP seems just all over the place. You can tell Demonology sims are like, the minimum sim is like 90k or whatever. The max is like 180 or something. It's like double what the minimum sim is. Like the bar on sims is like off the chart, because sometimes you high roll your soul swipe dude, your soul. Sometimes you high roll on Tauren Jailers in your Apex talent. Sometimes you don't. If you high roll both of them, you're not just gapping like certain people in a raid, you are gapping the entire raid. The RNG of Soul Harvester, like this dude, and the Apex talent is excessive. Some RNG is cool, it's fine. I like that. When you are doing 40% damage more than the next person in your raid, it's too much if you Omega high roll, right? And that could be a bit excessive, it's probably like 20, but still, it is a lot. We need to find some way to like bring the RNG of this thing in. It says it has an increasing chance to proc, but sometimes you roll it for a whole minute and a half. Sometimes you don't see it at all. It seems excessively random. We got to find some way to make this just on a more consistent on a proc scale, right, across multiple pulls. Because the damage it puts out is pretty good too. It's our #2 source of damage, being like 12.9%, right? But some pulls I've seen it beat out, be close to Wild Imp damage, around 19%. I had a pull where it was 6%, the next pull on the dummy, and that's excessive. That's too much, right? When you're in a progression-based setting or a key, any kind of setting, you don't want one pull you're doing this much, one pull you're doing this. It's not fun gameplay. It's like, oh, cool. Did I high roll? Oh, no. This feels terrible. Oh, I high roll. Cool. Hope I can do it again. It's not, it's too much, right? So I think you come in, I expect them to hit maybe like Volition, a couple other things. So we got to find some way to pull in the RNG of Manifested Avarice and Soul Swipe. Now, on top of that, there is our Jailer, right? So when it comes to our Apex talent, we have 4 summons. You have the Jailer at 11.4 here, not the bald guy, but, you know, a lesser version of him. You have Jailer, you have Inquisitor, you have Lady Sacrilash, and Grand Warlock Alithis or whatever. These are, I mean, these are 2%, 2%, 2.4, and your other pet Jailer's up here. You can basically combine all these 3 together, double their damage, and they barely beat out the Jailer. And it's pure RNG on what you summon. So let's say on average you get 4 summons per Apex window, being every minute or so. The window's active for half a minute, essentially. If you summon 3 Jailers and 1 Grand Warlock Alithis or whatever, Jailer is up here above Wild Imp damage because it just spawns in. It does a crazy amount of damage. If you low roll it though, sometimes don't roll any Jailers and you roll these turds 4 for 4 pets. You roll this thing, and 2 of these. Your damage is, I mean, like, it's terrible. It's really bad. There's way too much RNG to this. Now these 4 pets, Grand Warlock, Sacrilash, Inquisitor, and Jailer were all hit by a blanket 45% nerf 2 weeks ago or whatever. But I don't think that was the right nerf. I think they needed to be nerfed, and they're going to get nerfed again. But I think what we should have done, and hopefully we do whenever these nerfs come out, is we probably buff these by 45%. Buff these back with that 50% buff, so they're doing like, you know, 4%, 5%, and nerf this thing. Like, the fact that we didn't hit this thing specifically is crazy. Like, nerf this thing by 45% and buff these 3 by 50. Like, like, these don't do anything. Like, they're the bosses from Sunwell, and they're basically below my Hand of Gul'dan passive damage. My Tyrant's not here too, but he's also a lost cause at this point. But, like, but they don't do anything, right? If you high rolled, or if you roll, you know, these 4 iterations, your damage is nowhere near as good. If you low roll Demonic Soul and these 4, or these 3, your damage is terrible. If you high roll this in conjunction with this, you're gapping the entire raid. There's too much RNG here. I think if you have Jailer doing like 6%, which would be like a 45% nerf, and you have this doing like 4% and 4%, and this doing like 5% on average, a little bit of RNG is fine. And that's cool, saying, oh cool, I proc 2 Jailers and I proc 1 of this, 1 of this. Cool, so I high roll Jailers. That's cool. If the disparity is like 10, if the disparity is like, you know, a much lesser amount. But if it's so high, like it is right now, it's not fun gameplay. It's like, did I high roll? No. Damn it, I hope you wipe. Go again. That's not fun. And it's not good in a raid setting either, when it's excessive, right? When you can't replicate a similar damage profile or output in a raid setting from pole to pole, it's not always great. It can be managed, but you know what I mean? It can be managed, but you know what I mean? We need to come in and hit Jailer by 45%, whatever, and buff these back. There's no reason for these to be nerfed. None. And, I mean, you can change those numbers a bit, obviously, and I think that might be the universal buff they use to knock Demonology down a bit. So you probably would have like some nerfs to probably to this, a couple other modifiers here, fix the RNG here, keep this like at a similar-ish power level maybe where it's around like 10%, it's probably fine, but just fix like the randomness of it being like 18 or 6 from pole to pole. So that's more Soul Harvester nerfs, right? And then you come in when they're both normalized, roughly, Soul Harvester and Diabolus, and you knock down Demonology as a whole a bit, and you hit the Apex talent a little bit. I think that's what you should do. Everything else is probably fine. Tyrant's weak. I've given up on it. I mean, realistically, his better days are in the past. But he's an enabler for your Apex talent. The Apex talent is very strong and very good. Demonology flows really well, too. And also to mention, this might not be the build you play. You might take this point and put it here. We'll see where it goes. I don't know. But point being, I think you should do that for Demonology. Coming in and doing a blanket aura nerf leaves the exact same problems here, where you have sometimes insane Jailer procs, insane Demonic Soul procs, or you low roll these or low roll this, and your damage is like way up here or way down there. That's not fun gameplay. We've had specs like that in the past, and they've been changed because they're not fun, and the gameplay is annoying. Also, there's either a bug or something right now with having more haste, and Antorian Jailer is losing damage to that. They spawn in with more haste, and they despawn faster, and they get less cast in, or whatever. Yeah, I'd look at that too, because that's annoying. But I think that's what's going to happen, or what should happen. Demonology is hands down the highest aiming spec we have right now. I'm at 60.3, 56.1 for AF, and Demonology is at 80k. Demonology is the highest spec in the game. It's going to get nerfed again. Everybody knows this. It's not like, oh, Sandbag Sims. Blizzard knows this. It's blatantly obvious. It's going to get nerfed again. But I think those are the nerfs that need to happen to Demonology and AF and Destro in this video. And I think if they do those three things, we have 3 banger lock specs. So like always, thanks for watching, guys. It wraps it up. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and hopefully, yeah, I guess I gave you all a bit of a better understanding of where the specs are at tuning-wise now. Honestly, this all might happen. None of it might happen. Not really sure, but this is sort of like my hands are clean in this video. Everything's out there. Midnight's here, man. I've had a blast playing it. I think it's been the best launch we've had of any expansion in recent memory. Obviously, it might be a bit of rose-tinted glasses right now, but I've been enjoying it a lot. I'm pumped for the raid in a week and a half and stuff, and I don't know. I wanted to get this video out for a while, but wanted to wait a little bit longer to see if anything else happened. But it's March 5th, probably about a week or so until tuning hits. I think it's about time. So that's that. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want any add-ons or profiles, website link up here as well as down below in the description. And like always, a huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon for all your support. Thank y'all a million times. Like always, I greatly appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. Without your support, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. Keep making content for y'all and, well, all that. So, yeah. I'm going to shamelessly plug, not even shamelessly plug here. I'm going to mention something cool for you guys that are sticking around to the end of this video. Actually, so, for those that have been wondering, my hair is a mess. For a long time, we've been talking about, like, taking the artwork from the website. Here we go. And making it into like some purchasable mouse pads, game pads, wall art, backgrounds, all that kind of stuff. I can say that it's not available for purchase yet, but we got the early samples in. And low key, I have a desk map from Team Liquid. I have, I think, from Aberrus still. Let me move this. This is a long outro here. Low key. Oh, these are fire. I think these are fire. There's a Destro one. So I'm gonna stick, very important. There's an Affliction one with Uthalash or whatever. Very cool. Look at that. Very cool. And there's one more for us tier 3 Demonology Warlock fans. Bam. There you go. I think these are pretty cool. And honestly, they came in at a higher quality than I even expected. They're not available for purchase yet. We got a couple cool things happening. Probably in the next few weeks or so, once I get final samples and stuff in. But if y'all lasted long enough for this part of the video, do me a favor, drop a comment below so I know it's one of y'all saw it. Something about merch or something. I don't know. It'll be sick. And when it's available, we're going to shoot maybe before the race world first. I'll make it known and all that. But there's that. There's wall arts. There's even like cell phone cases. Some interesting shirts and other cool things coming out. If you watched stream recently, you probably know about it. But when those are available, I'll let you guys know. We're not charging an arm and a leg for them either. It's basically a little bit above production costs. I have a artist that made them too. No, there's no AI. These arts are made a long time ago for the website by Mr. Andy. Very nice man. So yeah, that's that. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll let you know when those come out if you're interested in it. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.